As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the incorrigible Mr. Magoots. What's up, dude?
You know what sucks is we could record, and look, I don't want to harp on the whole daylight savings time thing. Everybody knows that it's fucking stupid, but we could record at the same time every day of the year. And at this time of year, it goes from good afternoon, everybody, to good evening, everybody, because it's so fucking dark out, and I'm tired of it already.
I thought you were going to harp on it.
That's the end of it.
It's
I
midnight
think
right now, right?
I got right to the cusp of harping, but I don't want to harp too hard.
I feel like it's midnight at this current moment. I cut my grass at 4:30, and by the time I was done, it was dark. I was charging the battery for my mower because it's electric, and Dev's like, "You better get out there soon." I was like, "Oh fuck!" I looked outside, and the sun was dipping below the horizon. I was like, "Oh shit!" And by the time I got done, it was dark. So
yeah, it's either you do it then, or you go out in the morning when it's also fucking dark and do it then. So
you're harping. You're harping.
Bryce Harper over here.
Yeah, Bryce Harper, settle down. But we're not here to harp about daylight savings and the stupidness of it. But we're here to talk some Potomac, which is just lovely. It's just lovely. I'm enjoying it so much. This episode, I enjoyed as well. It was a little bit lighter, but they were getting into shit all the time. I love that the drama is constant. It's constant drama, and it's constantly people throwing shade at one another, but nobody gets so bent out of shape that it ruins the entire party. Like, everyone takes it in stride. They fire back. Some people need to take a minute. They go cry in the bathroom and come back. I like that it doesn't get to a point with these ladies where it's like, oh, shut everything down. Night's over. Fuck this. Everyone's a pretty good sport. And then you got Stacey, who is just one of my favorite newbies ever. She's so like fish out of water, but in the best way possible.
She is one of those that we are going to root for her. And I don't take this lightly, but I am going to root for her to eventually get to a villain arc of her own.
Ooh.
Because it would be so fun to watch her starting off having zero idea how everybody operates on these shows, not doing any homework, just being just sweet as pie, just completely oblivious to the things around her. But you know that she always has good intentions. And you saw a little bit in this episode where she's like, wait a minute, you guys are talking about me a lot. Let's talk about somebody else. It's like, all right, there's something there. And we usually do root for that. I mean, when we talk about the other newbies that have come around this year with like Bronwyn and Katie and OC, we want them to play the game better. With Stacey, I just want her to have an understanding of what the hell's going on around her. It's so funny.
I don't.
I kind of don't too. I do like that she has zero clue what's going on and how to react to things, because it really is just a authentic and organic reaction when things happen around her. And you can tell that she has never been in a situation like this before. And I cannot wait to see it. But to your point, nobody really seems to be letting things really get to them to the point that they need vengeance immediately, or they're going to go cry, or they're going to leave the trip. And that is good for the show. And like you said, this was a little bit lighter of an episode, but there is constantly things at work. And the funny part about this whole thing is you could have somebody that is just getting dragged the entire time, but because it's the insignificant Jaqueline, nobody cares. Nobody stands up for her. Her best friend in the world is Mia, supposedly. Mia's not going to stand up for her. Everybody else wants blood, but they realize all they have to do is just make like one or two jabs, and then Jaqueline's going to go off on a weird tangent, and everybody's going to be like, well, she's fucking nuts. What are we going to do?
She's a lunatic, bro. Yeah. It's like alarming. The shit that she said this episode, it's scary.
It's so fun. It's funny. It's so
hilarious.
Funny.
It's confusing, because episode 1, she's like, when they got down, were they at Lake Normus? Maybe it was last week when she was like, I'm my own woman. She did that whole monologue about standing on her own 2 feet. But every chance that she has to snuggle up to Mia and crawl up her ass, she takes it. and tells everybody that she's doing it. And it's the craziest, weirdest behavior. And I'll have a whole shtick about that I would like to get into at some point. Right. I want to save it for later, but it is remarkable to watch because you're right. All you have to do is tee her up. You tee it up and let her take it. And then you don't have to do shit.
Sometimes you don't even have to tee her up. Sometimes she'll just interject with something that has nothing to do with anything else, but it's about her. And the other women are starting to realize that she's always going to turn it back to her in the same way that Mia will. But when Mia does it, she'll just commandeer an entire trip and be like, hey, we got to go over here and we got to talk about me for a little while. And everybody's expecting it, but it's still funny because it's Mia doing it and we get to talk about things like that. With Jaqueline, it's in the middle of a conversation that is so far away from what she wants to talk about. And she'll just throw herself in the middle of it. Like, well, hey, we're not talking about me enough. And everybody knows what you're doing. And it's really funny. I don't think I could ever get tired of that shtick as long as the show is up. As long as the show is doing well and there's enough else going on, I'm not going to get tired of Jaqueline doing that because I find it really funny.
I agree with that. If the show keeps doing what it's doing, everyone keeps doing their job, it keeps being this entertaining, then yes, it will never run its course. Now, if it takes a dip and she continues that shit, it's going to be like, all right, bro, we get it. Knock it off. So I'm with you. It's almost like watching a train wreck. You just can't stop staring at it. You're like, oh my God, she's doing it again. You're doing it again. Stop doing that. you so psycho. Funny. But let's jump into this episode and we start out with a banger because it's the end of the conversation. Stacey's just found out about the charges that are going against Karen, the alleged rehab conversation, which I was watching the Watch What Happens Live with Stacey right before this because Dev was watching it, and she had heard that Karen had agreed that she needed to go to rehab. I didn't get that part. I must have missed that, but now it's like the aftermath of that conversation, and this is what Karen can do that a lot of housewives cannot, because she's able to say something so volatile and so over the top, but in such a calm demeanor that there's a reaction. But this should be a much bigger deal because she, out of nowhere, because she feels threatened. And this is what Karen does. You back her up against a corner. She's going to fire back and she's going to come at you with everything that she has. She's like, well, that's interesting because actually Mia went to rehab for opiates. And that's why the joint started. I was like, holy shit. What a fucking indictment.
It's so out there because the joint is a chiropractic practice.
Yes.
For lack of a better term. I don't like saying that, but that's what it is. So I don't know what this Yep, thank you. I don't know what the two have to do with each other, but that is Karen. And she's saying it to Stacey, whose reaction is incredible because she was not expecting it. No one in her life has ever made any sort of connection like that she's ever seen, and you can tell immediately. And she says it to Kiarna, who has beef with Mia, who's like, oh, here we go, pot calling the kettle black, of course. And Kiarna's just looking for anything to go after Mia after what she said about her ex-boyfriend. So yeah, that makes sense. But Karen, the way that she delivers it is it's just so dry, and it's just so like
nonchalant.
And it's just like she has a lot of things that she can bring up about people from their past if you want to go after her. And I think because the subject is Mia, and Mia, we saw it in the first or second episode that she actually did break down because they were talking about the kids, which leave the kids out of it. And she did actually get affected by that and go cry. But for the most part, Mia stands pretty strong no matter what you throw at her. And that is one of the good things that Mia can do. So I guess that's also why, because, I get the gist that a lot of these women don't really care for Mia, but also we know that she can defend herself. So we don't need to be up in arms. So it is kind of funny that she's able to just throw this out there. But I thought the same thing as you. I didn't understand what they were talking about when Stacey said that Karen herself said that she might need to go to rehab. I think it's just that Mia and Ashley both have a way with words that they're able to kind of put this out there in a way that seems like maybe Karen is asking for help. So that way we can get Stacey to storm downstairs and be concerned for her friends. I think that's what they wanted, and they achieved that pretty quickly. But better than everything, we're able to get through all of this, and then we just move on. You know what I mean? Like, except for, Kiarna Jassi talking to Giselle when she comes back and just kind of recapping everything. We don't really touch on it again, which is nice.
No, for now. I imagine this one may come back up at some point, just because again, it's a pretty bold claim to make, and I've never heard that before.
No.
So I would assume that if it doesn't come back up during the season, we will talk about it at the reunion, I'm sure.
Sure.
But it's just the way that she does it so casually, and then just to try to deflect from her own stuff, and then she goes to the classic Karen move this season. My court date's in 2 weeks. Just wait. The truth will
Just you
prevail.
wait.
What? What are we waiting for? Like, this should not be a funny topic, right? This should not be funny. And yet somehow it is funny because it's like, dude, we know what happened. You got a DUI.
Yep.
Just say I got a DUI. Stacey was on Watch What Happens Live literally saying, I hope that someday she's able to stand in her truth and take accountability for it. The ironic part is Karen is claiming currently in the show, I'm standing in my truth. You'll all see when the judge exonerates me because the deer was the one driving. I don't get it. And she ends the conversation with, you're going to talk to somebody who's sleeping with her boyfriend while her husband's in the house. I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything.
Nope.
But there's a last little punch, a little jab in there to finish. And Stacey's reaction is so good. All of her reactions are great because she's just, again, she's like, we're just going to say whatever we want. It's like, yeah, welcome to Housewives.
How it works.
So you can do whatever. Yeah, you just got to figure out a way to back it up a little bit, have a contingency plan. But yeah, but we move on to poolside with, it's like Karen, Kiarna, Jassi, Stacey. And Stacey was FaceTiming with her man all night, and it brings up the dudes. And everyone's got, it's interesting that a lot of them have similar situations where it's like, yeah, he's got kids and, you know, I'm going to be the stepmom or whatever. But we start to learn a little bit more about Jassi's relationship, who is dating, his name's Darius. And
it's Darius Miller, I want to say.
And he was on the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl. I don't know if he's still on the Chiefs.
He's not. The last, I already looked it up. I already did the homework for you. The last team that he was on was the Cowboys. I would imagine he's on the practice squad.
Okay, yeah. So he's not a mainstay. Yeah, but he does have a Super Bowl ring. So I'm not knocking him there. But he does.
Two. I think he won 2 with them.
Oh, was he 2 there? So you got the double bonus. Yeah. Nice. Well done. But we find out a little bit more about that. Not a whole lot. We find out much more later, and there's been mentions of it, but it seems like an interesting scenario because she's like, yeah, you know, he's got 2 kids. I'm like, okay. A lot of women in this group seem to have a similar situation. She's like, or he was conceived with 2 kids I was like, wait, what? And it starts to get a little more confusing. What she says specifically is he was expecting when we started dating, and I was like, that's not the story.
No, but she also she screwed the whole thing up because she said we've been together for years. Once you say years, people go to 2, 3 years, and this is a 1-year-old. And she also put her foot in her mouth by saying his son just turned 1. It's like, all right, well, that's not great either.
You guys now have a
house together. And I did see that the mother of Darius's children came out on Instagram recently and posted a picture with like matching Christmas pajamas with everybody. And she's disputing the timeline. I don't know if he was in there, but it was definitely with the kids. And she's also disputing the timeline. But I don't think that Jassi did herself any justice by going through that timeline because she wasn't specific enough. But yet she was a little more specific than she needed to be. She should have just been very vague with the whole thing. And maybe
2 kids,
period. People are going to ask questions. Yeah, you don't have to go into the everything, all the nitty gritty of the details, but it's definitely a very wonky timeline where, yes, this child was probably conceived while you guys were dating. So,
I don't think you have to throw quotes on there. The child was conceived while you were dating.
Well, I don't know if they were dating. Like, is this a situation that we have with Brittany and Jared Osmond where they were together and then they weren't, and they were together and then they weren't, but they have a house together. So that kind of throws things into a different perspective. So I have no idea what's going on, but she did herself no good deeds during all.
No, she really set her up for failure later on in the episode, which we are going to see. But again, love Stacey to pieces. Watching her dance, she is perfect for this show because she's so different than everybody else on the show. And the best part about it is she owns it without knowing that she's owning it. She's just like being herself and she's awkwardly dancing. And like in these moments, the other women they're not making fun of her, but they're clearly like, yep, there she is. Like, you're stiff and boring. You're showing that. And she goes to confession. She goes, maybe now they know I'm not so stiff and boring. And it goes back to her like head bobbing with the shoulders. I'm like, oof, magoof. Like,
you've got Mia twerking on somebody over there. You got you over there dancing like a board, just kind of like, ooh,
admitting you don't know how to twerk.
I think my favorite little detail about Stacey, every once in a while, her reporter voice pops out.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like, this just in, Ashley has now come into the pool. And then she kind of goes back to like a normal tone of voice. And it just keeps going back and forth for me. And I love it. Every time that it pops up, my ears perk up. I'm like, oh, that's fun.
The QVC voice pops out. Speaking of Ashley, I didn't mention it. That was probably my favorite part of the first scene, is that Ashley's just in the background, like right here. Yeah. Just like, she's just taking notes in her head. That's why I know that this will come back up later, because Ashley's just
Ashley will have Mia over and then they'll discuss the whole thing.
And be like, so how, and the way she'll do it is, how was rehab? He was like, what?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. But the way that Mia operates, it won't be what we typically see, where then she'll have a sit down with Karen and discuss the whole thing. She'll just immediately get revenge. She will just find something and go right back after Karen. And I can appreciate that. I know that early on when I was watching this, I know you had been watching it for a few years. When I was getting caught up and watching all the Mia scenes, I could not stand her. But I realized what she is, and I think she's toned it down a little bit. And she
definitely has.
She's gotten a little better at manipulating things and figuring out what her role is on this show. And I have come to at least accept that. And a lot of times I do like it.
Yeah, she's I'm not gonna say hit or miss, because I don't hate when she's on screen ever. Yeah. I do think that the way she plays the game sometimes, I'm like, this isn't working for me at the moment. I also, the scenes from next week, we see G and Ink in the kitchen and they're talking kids again. I'm like, bro, this is way too much. We don't need to be doing this on camera.
Yeah, I want to know. I really want to know. And
we have to know.
We shouldn't see that, but I want to see it. But we shouldn't be in that room with them. But I want to be in that room with them.
We need to be in that room. It should not be on TV. Look, they're putting it on TV. So yes, of course we're going to watch.
I see it.
We need a conclusion. I gotta know it's an episode of Maury. You are blank. By the way, Maury Palovich alive.
You want that on? Do you want that on the finale, or do you want that at the reunion?
I need Maury to come out at the reunion with a manila envelope. He's alive,
and
by
Andy
the way.
can
Remember,
probably do that. He is alive. I want that at the reunion. He comes out at the reunion, and we have Ink and G in the back in separate dressing rooms.
Totally, 100%.
And then one of them comes running out, and then the other one comes running out because he's pissed off.
Yeah, I need it. I need it so bad. But Giselle returns from the cap and gown ceremony and gets a little update from Jassi as to what's been going on. And yeah, it's been a little dramatic. There's been a lot of happenings, but again, that's why I think I appreciate this season so much. There was a whole lot of shit that went down.
Yep.
Nobody is shying away from anybody. Nobody wants to leave. They're all still showing up for work. Like, that's a really good housewife show, because they can brush it off and get back in the ring. And that's what we want to see. But it was interesting to watch Mia drink tequila just like you. And that was cool.
It can't be good for your throat. I'm sorry. Somebody's got to say it.
I just was like, oh, Shooter does that. But anyway.
Where have I seen that before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Old Magooter.
Well, the difference is I can get all the way down to the base of the bottle.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive. It's a good party trick. Yeah. You always piss off the bartender because you just grab a bottle behind the bar and then he kicks you out. But, it's still a great party. You keep doing it. It's fun. It's fun for everybody.
Yeah, it's a good
bit. But what she does unintentionally, she's like, that's how you keep two men happy. And I'm like, you're admitting that you're a cheater right now. And yeah, obviously we're pretty aware of what went down. And yes, there's infidelity involved, but you're like openly admitting it on camera.
Is that why G moved into your apartment building?
Yeah. What the fuck? Like,
you're folding his laundry. What else are you doing for him?
Is she keeping them both happy now? Like, there's some questions. It's just leaving the door open. You're not doing yourself any favor. Not that she ever does, and not that she cares. And that's honestly one of the things I enjoy about Mia. I do think, because she's human, I know that she cares somewhere in there, but she's able to put on the facade of nothing bothers me, and it works for me. So like this is just another part of that. But we get in the Sprinter van and find out a little bit more about TJ, who is a walk-on actor, not an extra. He's a walk-on actor. So I guess that's like his roles were surgeon number 1, or like here's the back of his head in a movie, and he's on like ER. I'm sure he's on like a Law and Order episode somewhere in there. Dick Wolf, shout out. That's 3 in a row. Hell yeah.
Wolf.
I gotta
keep it going. We gotta keep it going.
Episodes in a row can I make a Dick Wolf reference? That's my goal. But they're talking about the relationship, which we all want to know more about, because he's TJ, a devout Christian, and they're saving I was gonna make a funny word and then I forgot. They're saving the boinkin until they are married. And the way that she frames it originally, and you can see, and I feel like this moment specifically, you can see the shell kind of peel back throughout this episode, and it ends with her starting a little drama at the end. And I think this is where she starts to open up a little bit, because in the beginning of this conversation, she's like, look, we're waiting. That's what we want to do. But it was his idea to wait. And Giselle's like, well, you gotta test the waters. You at least feel around a little bit to see what you're working with. But she's like, I don't care if it's a thumb. Fine. But Giselle
somebody else had said, you got to make sure it's not just his thumb. And she didn't know. She acted like she didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's even funnier.
Said, you got to make sure that it's not just his thumb down there. And she said, what do you mean by that? Why are we talking about thumbs? It's like, what we're doing.
We're talking about wieners.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
but she even says, like, yeah, I would like to. And it's like, all right, now you're just let the guard down a little bit. It's okay, especially in moments like this on the Sprinter van where you got the girls, they're all just kind of joking around, they're talking. Everyone makes little jokes about, it's
always sex talk on the Sprinter van.
Yes, no matter what the franchise is, we're gonna talk wieners at some point. So this is that moment for Stacey, and I'm glad that she was able to, because I could have went a different way. She could have been like, why are you all laughing at me? Fuck off. It's my relationship. Leave me alone. She takes it all in stride. She's laughing, opens up a little bit more, and lets us know what alternatives you have as a couple. If you can't boink,
please label them actually for us right now. Can you run through the list?
Yeah, working out, and going to the zoo.
What else more do you need in life?
When she said the zoo, I laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God, bet me these two are walking around. He's got a boner and she's like chomping at the bit. And they're just walking around the zoo trying so hard not to touch each other. Like, oh God.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love the elephants. God, me too.
God, have you ever seen an ass as red as that on that baboon over there?
Look at that baboon's ass. Wow. That giraffe's neck is really long. Like,
what do you think they get up to behind the screen, huh? Why do they have to close down these exhibits? What are they doing? Is there a mating exhibit anywhere around here?
They're just like saying gross shit. They don't even realize it.
I mean, we've heard before that, you get a little sexually frustrated. You go to the gym a lot. You get a little obsessive. I mean, we talked about that for a lot of people on these shows. You go to the gym and you get crazy obsessive. Are they doing the same thing about the zoo? Are they just hitting every zoo in the tri-state area?
That would be hysterical. Or if they're just members at like the DC Zoo. The aquariums when it gets really tough because they need it to be a little bit darker. Yeah. Gross. Anyway, we keep on trucking and we get to the joint for one of my favorite scenes ever. This was my favorite scene in so many shows in so long because this is ludicrous. It's lunacy. I don't know what we're doing here. She doesn't even own it anymore and kicks the door open. She's like, I'm here. And they're like, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I haven't met you. What's your name? Dr. So-and-so? Like, oh, I'm Mia. And then she goes on her spiel about this was my first store and blah, blah, blah. If we know anything to be true about Mia, we know that a lot of things that Mia says are not true.
Correct.
Okay. So allegedly, she sold this location at some point or another. She has no longer any affiliation to it. She claims to have still 22 total locations that she's going to sell. That's a lot. That's a lot
of joints.
It's a lot of joints. Okay. That's a whole lot of joints.
It's a lot of joints.
The general consensus of this entire group standing there, what the fuck are we doing here? Like it's the craziest scene. They're standing silent, and the guy's doing a correction. What do they call it?
I think it was a adjustment.
Doing an adjustment, and they're legit standing around, and he gets a pop out, and Mia goes, "Woo!" I'm like, this. Whoever the poor person is getting adjusted right now is probably like, what?
What is going on? Why are we doing any of this? I thought that at the very least, a couple people were going to get adjustments. I thought that Wendy was going to go for her birthday and do this. No. And of course they're not, because Mia no longer owns it. Mia would have to then pay for it, and she's not going to do that. So what are we doing here? I thought this entire time we were all going, and it was going to be like a sort of like a spa day, but we were just going to get a couple of chiropractic things done. No, we're just going to go watch one guy get a crack out of his ass, and then we're going to be like, all right, let's go to lunch, guys. Why are we here? It doesn't make any sense.
This is the equivalent of going to a gym that I have no involvement with. And be like, oh, this is where it all started. And then standing and staring at people work out and go, yay, you have no affiliation to this place anymore. This is not your franchise. So it was so fucking funny. And you can tell, and this is where there starts to be like holes in it. And that's when I have to question how many locations, what's your actual involvement? Do you really own all of them? Are you the sole proprietor? Because Giselle asks, and it was really smart. That was such a small question, but it does speak to her knowledge of the business, because she's like, what's the busy time? Oh, it depends on the market. That's not enough for me. If you own 20
for what cracks?
Yeah, when I guess the market of like how many cracks per capita. No, I think it's more like the market of where they're located, I guess. I don't know. But that was the point. It's like, dude, just say noon or 5. Do something other than it depends on the market, because that to me tells me you don't know what you're talking about. And then I have to question your affiliation with these 22 locations, because we already learned last season, or was it 2 years ago, when her and G just opened up that new one, and we find out that she's really, because she claimed to be the CEO or whatever, had to step down, blah, blah, blah. Now they're dissolving it because the partners can't get along. Can't imagine why. And her involvement was not what she had said it was originally. So anytime that she's going to start spouting off business things and saying, I own all of this locations and I'm going to reinvest and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that she hasn't built a life for herself. What I'm saying is I don't believe her.
I don't believe her for anything. I really just don't understand any of it. And I just keep coming back to the market thing. And she did this so many different times. Whenever anybody pressed her about anything business related, or even just the terms that she uses, they make zero sense. They just don't make any sense. There's no market for getting an adjustment. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, what, you're in a financial services district, so your market is somehow, I guess, induced by the financial market.
Like, I don't know.
The busy season, like maybe you're around a couple of accounting agencies and tax season is coming up, so they want to get their adjustment before and after tax season. That would make a little bit of sense if you went as far as that. But she always does this. Every time that she talks about anything business related, it's completely made up on the spot, and it's just buzzwords that she read at some point in time. So I like that Giselle did this, and Giselle is very good at doing this. She is very good at pushing a little bit, and then she doesn't go over the top. She doesn't want Mia to be pissed at her. She just wants to ask a couple of key questions just to see, for the audience, so that we can see that she's full of shit. And that's a really smart move by Giselle, and I know that she's doing that.
Yeah, I do too. And she does it every time when she'll say it, and she'll be like, oh, okay. And move on from it. But it's what we need as an audience to be like, well done.
Yeah.
But we get to lunch, and Giselle brings up all the tea that's been being spilt over the past 24 hours that she wasn't there for. You know, the drug dealer comment, Ashley, and the scar thing. And Kiarna claps back and says, I'm going to start calling her K, because they all call her, and I like that better. I like
that too.
So she snaps, obviously, and claps back at Mia and says, well, it's interesting coming from you. And she's like, what does that mean? She's like, well, you have a checkered past as well. And starts digging at her because she was a stripper and comparing that to drug dealing. Stripping is not illegal. So I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but I understand what she's trying to do. It's more so we all came from somewhere. You're accusing me of using drug money to start my business or whatever, which is pretty fucked. And so she's throwing it back at her, which I appreciate. But this is Jaqueline's first weird move of the episode. And it didn't take long.
I love it.
She starts speaking about her fitness journey. which is okay, great, cool. She's like, I lost 15 pounds. That's awesome. Good for you. And she's like, and it just makes me feel strong. And don't fuck with me. And I'm like, okay.
The only connection that there was made somewhere in here was after Kay goes after Mia, which we know what you're doing. Like you just said, everybody has a bit of a checkered past. We all came from somewhere, whatever. I know also what Kay was trying to insinuate. It was kind of funny that it went as far as selling ass, because I always love that kind of term being thrown around. But Jassi interrupts just to say, hey, we're having a bit of a party because my boyfriend is getting honored at the White House, which I'm going to play semantics here a little bit. He didn't suit up. He didn't suit up at the game, and they keep showing that picture, and he's in street clothes. So he didn't actually play, and he wasn't even suited up. So he's probably not invited to the White House.
Wait. Don't do that to him. Did he go in and change and come back to the field?
No chance. There's still confetti falling in the air.
I don't want to disparage this. He's a Super Bowl champ.
Look, I'm going to disparage him. What do you mean? He's cheating on girls and he's getting others pregnant.
Okay, fine.
Why are we not disparaging this guy? I don't
Okay,
give a shit.
Okay.
He's an NFL player.
Hey.
All right. He plays for the Cowboys. All right.
Fucking back off, dude. I'll crawl through the screen and rip that
He went
mustache
to Middle
off.
Tennessee State. You think I care? Come on.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
I did my homework. Anyway, that's what Jassi brought up, is just that she's having a party and she's going to invite some single guys. So I guess Jaqueline was like, oh,
okay,
my time to shine.
Myself.
I lost some weight. Now I'm ready to mingle. Well, what's going on with PP over there? You got your boy PP. What happened
Mr.
to PP?
I
thought
don't
you
know.
were just trying to be nice to PP. Now you're talking about flirting with other guys because you got your fitness journey going on. I love Mia's interjection. Yeah, she goes to the gym. I just get lipo. Yeah, not a big deal.
But that just goes to show you, no matter what Jaqueline says, Mia's going to knock her down. Like, she's going to interject no matter what, and Jaqueline's still going to grovel at her feet. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. And it's even weirder that she ends that with, it makes me feel strong and don't fuck with me. And everyone there's like, is that directed at Karen? She's like, what? It's like, clearly, you're just not good at taking shots at people at all. That's what Mia's for. That's why you're her sidekick.
Or talking,
you're just not
or
good
forming
at,
a thought.
You're not good at speaking, really, because you say weird shit all the time. It makes me uncomfortable.
Wait, is this when she says, I'm just letting you know that, like, oh, yeah, she did. She ended it by saying, just letting you know that I'm here to stay.
Oh, yeah. What? No. That was later. That's at dinner. That's at dinner.
I keep mixing these up. The lunch and the dinner. That's damn.
Yeah, because they're all bizarre and weird and uncomfortable. And it makes me think that they're all one scene, because nobody could do this consistently throughout an entire episode or season, because that would be ludicrous. Yet here we are. Enter Jaqueline. But we keep going. We get a quick one-off, which I know you loved this scene.
Oh, yeah.
Ashley's EDM song of healing and thriving. She's healing and thriving, baby. And then I actually think I prefer Giselle's version, broken up over 3 different confessionals. She's trying to make it better. Do we have that song?
I wish we could have that song. I thought, because I must have missed something in here. I think I just kind of zoned out when Ashley sat down and she wasn't immediately talking about shit. She started talking about herself and her song. I thought this was some sort of like GNA tie-in, that they had a bit of a theme song going on there for their events or something along the lines. No, it's just Ashley just trying to get her music career off the ground. Here's the thing. Auto-tune is great. We love auto-tune.
No,
Ashley
she was
can't fucking sing. No.
Did you hear her in the scene before? She wasn't bad.
Auto-tune. Great.
You can't auto-tune when you're singing.
Wait, are you talking about when she's actually singing there next to Giselle?
No. Before that, there's a scene of her singing the song originally. And I remember thinking, oh, that's actually not horrible. Like, she actually has a decent voice. So I disagree with you.
I think we butted heads on this one. I think we did before.
No, this was somebody else that sang that I thought had a good voice. And you're like, no, because I haven't heard Ashley sing before. She can carry a tune. And I would love to hear you sing sometime. Okay, you bash a lot of people
all the time. I do karaoke.
You're hammered and you're singing karaoke, and half the time you forget the words and just start doing this and pointing at people.
And it works. And then I grab a bottle of tequila and I shove it down my throat.
That's the party trick. Yeah, it happens every time we go out. But this was crazy, and this doesn't help her case. And I'm not going to say the sentence that was used because I'll just say stank, a little stanky. And of course, Jaqueline smells Mia's vagina through her dress. And look, I'm all for, you got to help your friends out. You don't want people going out stinky, sure. But you're not helping yourself ever. At no point are you doing yourself any favors. You just smelled her vagina on TV, and everybody else thought it was weird too. Of course, me being me, I'm like, is this a normal thing that chicks do for each other? To just, it's like the dudes, like, if you got something stuck on your shoe or something, I'm like, yo, bro. Or if your armpit smelled, I'd be like, yo, we can't go out yet, you stink. Is that the same?
Would you shove your nose into my armpit?
I would give it a quick smell, but what I wouldn't do,
a little wash,
is I wouldn't smell your crotch to be like, yo, bro, let me just check that D real quick before we head out.
Sniff your balls real quick.
You have no stank balls before we go out, dude. Let me just get a quick whiff. Like, that's the equivalent to me. I'm like, I wouldn't do that in no scenario, and I'm very comfortable with myself. I still wouldn't do that for you. I love you to death. But that's where my head went. I'm like, okay, would I do this? No.
No.
She shouldn't do this, especially considering.
I do not think that Jaqueline is the standard that most people should strive for.
No, because everyone else thought it was weird too.
Yeah. So I think that trying to compare it and saying, would I do that? I don't think you should ever do that with anything that Jaqueline does. Just
no. But I wasn't. I was saying that's like, I tried to make it normal for a split second. Like, all right, let me just break this down in like, would this be a scenario? No. And there's no way. I can't find a spot where I would be comfortable. Like, okay, yeah, let me just smell your dick real quick before we go out. But anyway, let me smell that dick. Where were we? The sprinter van.
Yeah.
We're in the sprinter van now. We're playing a little boink, marry, kill. We like to say boink around here. And Stacey agrees because the F word is just so harsh.
Yeah, it's so vulgar. Do we have to be that vulgar?
She's just so nice. And this show is going to make her not nice because that's what Bravo does. She's going to
I'm rooting for it now.
More. But yeah, it's going to be a great arc to watch. If she does actually have a villain arc, I'm actually with you on that one. That would be really interesting to see. But just everything she said, I was laughing out loud because it cuts to her confessional and she's like, am I an undercover freak? No, maybe. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. I'm like, you're bold. You're so good for this.
You're so innocent.
No, she's like, oh gosh, I can't believe I said I'm a freak in the sheets. I'm not.
Are we gonna air that? Oh, I guess
that. Is TJ gonna see this? Oh gosh,
cool.
Oh my God, but I don't think she cares if she looks cool. She's being herself, and it's so endearing. Yeah, I really appreciate it. But here we go. This is where the insanity just ramps up because we're playing fuck, marry, kill. Obviously, everyone's going through. I love the fact that nobody, especially Jaqueline, points out that everyone wants to kill Jaqueline. Like she's not at any point like, all right, guys, like stop killing me. I think she had 3 or 4.
I'm very thankful that she didn't make this such a big thing and start crying about it.
I agree. I just thought at some point she'd make a joke like, all right, quit stabbing me. Anything. What I didn't expect was for her to do this again and be like, well, I'd fuck Mia, but I already have. Haha. What? Don't do this again. We did this for a whole season and it was horrible. We get it. You fucked Mia, or you guys did something at some point. We know, we got it. We don't need to keep talking about it. But the weirder thing is the fact that she's like, has to clarify that I don't care what Mia does with any other women because at the end of the day, I'm Queen Bee and everybody knows that. Everybody's gonna know that. Everyone else is saying, wow, what a weird, jealous person.
Fucking crazy.
Yes, you're a lunatic. And here's my biggest question. This is what I was saving for later. Because she says things like this, like, I'm the Queen Bee and everybody knows that. Everyone knows that I'm Mia's number one. Who do you think Mia is, and who do you think that we think Mia is? She seems to think that Mia is this huge figure that everybody reveres and is this celebrity or something. I don't know what aura she believes Mia to have, but when she's clamoring for her attention and shoving it in our face and her castmate's face about how much closer she is to me than anybody else. I'm Mia's number one. Not one fucking person cares. Not even Jassi, who was going against you making the sidekick comments before. She's out now. Everyone else is out. No one cares. They're all just calling you a jealous weirdo because you keep saying weird shit like this. If you love Mia so much, fine. We got it. Shut up, you weirdo. I don't even know what else to say.
It's so strange. It's so strange. It's so uncomfortable to watch. And every time, I do really appreciate this, but every time she makes a comment, it's basically just silent in there.
No one. Oh my God. Yes.
No one says a word. And she just said, well, I already fucked Mia. You would expect at least like one or two people, maybe Stacey, to gasp. I wanted a good gasp out of Stacey in the back. Like, what? You guys did what? Is that a joke? Is that real? I need to know. Nobody says a word. Everybody's just like, really? Like,
it's just face palms all around. Face palm.
And she thinks that she's doing this. And look, I know that like maybe you have some sort of, I guess, desire to make a joke about it because you think that people talked about it so much last 2 seasons, and we're gonna talk about it again in a joking way, and we can finally move past it. Maybe this is just the end of it. But no, she's dead serious. She's not making a joke. She thinks that this is something that we can all talk about, and it pushes her further into the sidekick role with Mia. Mia has never defended you. She just hasn't. You have done so many weird things and said so many strange things about Mia and your relationship, and she just never says anything in return. She never tells you, yes, you're right, Jaqueline, I love you, and you are my number one. She never did it. She's never going to do it. So just stop. Just quit.
No, it's an emotionally abusive relationship. She's not taking care of you. Giselle calls her a scorned lover. That is exactly what she is, except she keeps coming back for more. And again, why you need to continue to clarify that you're her number one. I don't know why you think we care. Great, cool. Go hang out with her. Like,
sure.
Not one person gives a fuck, especially the rest of the cast. Not one person in this cast is like, oh man, I wanted to be Mia's number one. Everyone else is making jokes about it. You weirdo. Like, knock it off.
Leave us alone, lady.
You're scaring us. Like, but we get to dinner at Fahrenheit, which I've weirdly heard of in Charlotte. Yeah. And this was actually nice. Everyone goes around the table and talks about Wendy and what they love about her and how influential she is and inspiring and all these awesome things. And it was nice to hear woman after woman just kind of prop her up, say what she's done for them and how much they love her. So I actually really like this, and I love Wendy this season.
It was nice, yeah.
So it's even cooler to see that because there's lots of love. And the only thing that could ruin it, the only person at this table capable of fucking up this moment, because everyone has done such a great job up until this point, and why they let her go last is beyond me. Make Jaqueline go first, because you know she's going to say something.
Why is Jaqueline even talking? She shouldn't even.
I don't know. I have no idea. But why she's going last is everyone has said lovely things, and they were pointed and they were clear and concise, and it was just really, really nice to go around this table. And then you end it with this idiot who's like, I don't even know what she says, except that she finishes it up with, and as you can see, I'm here to stay. Dude, we get it. You're on the show still, but you're not going to be for much longer because you bring nothing to the table other than these weird comments that we get to talk about because we're concerned about the health and safety of the rest of your cast, because you shouldn't be this obsessive over somebody. We get it. You're here to stay. We don't care that you're here to stay. And what you've done that not one other woman at this table has done, which is impressive with a housewives group in general. Not one person made it about themselves. Everybody kept it about Wendy until we get to Jaqueline, and Jaqueline flips it, makes it about herself, and Wendy goes, oh God, here we go, because she knows that she's going to do it, and Wendy again calls it out, and you made it about you. So anyway, and we move on from it. You ruined this great moment that everybody was having. It's like Glenn from Talladega Nights when he's like, it's like Excalibur, fucks up the speech before the race. Oh, that's what I get from it.
Yeah, that is what I get from it too. And it's just such a strange comment because guess what? You're not even a real housewife.
No.
We know what you're trying to do. It's not like against all odds. If you had this crazy 180 and you went against Mia and earned your spot on this show and it was really good and captivating and everybody really enjoyed it, then you can say something like that. Or you don't have to, because you don't have to say those things because we're enjoying you. We're not enjoying you. You are fighting a battle against fucking everyone. And for you to say, you think that you're like a villain in this group or something, these women can't stand you. They want nothing to do with you. Every single person in that Sprinter van just killed you, except for when somebody stood up and said, I would kill Wendy, but I'd bring her back to life. I think it was Ashley. Everybody else was saying that they want to kill Jaqueline. So why do you think she must have this warped sense of reality, thinking, I'm a villain of this show and I'm going to stand my ground and I know Mia's got my back? Mia's not even behind you. She's in front of you. You have no idea where she is, but you're chasing her like a puppy. It is so... I'm still getting enjoyment out of it because it is so off the wall. But I do think that eventually everybody's just going to stop talking to her. And they're not going to even acknowledge that she's there, and she's going to spiral and it's going to get crazy. And I don't really like where that's going to go. But
I love that.
Now it's funny. For now, it's really funny because she does say these comments. And yes, you're right. During one of these scenes, we expect somebody to say something shady. Nobody says anything shady. Jaqueline makes it about herself. We do need somebody to do something weird in these scenes, and Jaqueline's going to do that, and it's still funny right now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the crazy spiral, honestly. I want to see it get so out of hand that they have to call William, our security guard from episode 1, and be like, William, get her out of here, please, because we don't feel safe anymore. But Stacey officially in this moment enters the game. Yep. This is her first play as a housewife, and I appreciate it because she goes, look, we've been talking about me a lot. Why don't we talk about Jassi's man? I'm like, ooh, not only did you point it elsewhere, you pointed it at somebody that has a very interesting backstory with her man. So let's dive into that because I'm very confused as well, except I'm not, because at the end of the day, you try to justify this weird age gap between the kids and when you started dating with, we started dating 2 months after she conceived. So technically it wouldn't be cheating. Okay, fine. Except for the fact that when you add up the ages, you're trying to spin this convoluted story and point us elsewhere. At the end of the day, Giselle says it best. Your guy cheated on you. If you're happy, own it. It's fine. Whatever. Yep. But this crazy story you're telling us and then being that person that's going to be like, oh, ask me anything. I'm an open book. It's like, you don't have to be here. All you have to say is he's got 2 kids. There are 3 and the other one just turned 1. If you had just said 3 and 1, it still leaves the door open to be like, all right, well, what's the timeline? But because you clarified that he just recently turned 1, now Ashley gets out her calculator and starts going through this whole thing as Ashley's going to do and figures out, this doesn't add up at all. Clearly, there was some crossing going on between this, and it sounds like your NFL player cheated on you. That could be the end of it. Except Kiana jumps in and goes, look, I can sympathize because I went through a similar situation. This got confusing as well because she said that he had 2 kids, twins. Then I'm like, all right, did he have 4 kids? And I think what she was saying was
so. I think that this, and look, I think that this guy, because we don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to speculate. Okay. I think that this guy impregnated twins.
That's not what happened, but wow.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think because she just kind of threw twins into the middle of it. I don't think that he had twins with each person. I think he impregnated twins.
I don't think that's what happened.
2 women.
I think that would have been a story.
They were twins.
We're pretty in tune with the NFL. Like we keep up with things. I think we would know. Like I know the fact.
We don't hear about like the one-off situations. We hear when Antonio Cromartie has his 15th child, or Philip Rivers has his
12th. Is it 17?
No, one of them's actually. I think Cromartie is up to 17, but Rivers is
Cromartie. I think Tyreek Hill has like 10 as well.
Yeah. He's. I think he had like 4 women pregnant in the same
at once.
Year. Yeah. So we hear about those, but if it's like a backup linebacker on the Ravens, which is what I'm suspecting it is, we're not going to hear about that.
All right, fair.
Let me speculate, bro. Come on.
You did. I'm all for it. You can speculate all you want. I think that we would have heard about that if a player got us twins pregnant. Like that's crazy. But
maybe not.
What I don't believe for a split second is that Mia had the same situation.
Yeah,
I think that this dinner has been about Wendy. I think this dinner has been about everybody else except for her. And she's got to bring the attention back on her. And I think that the only team that she knows is the Ravens because it's close to DC. And she goes, Ravens? It's like, you don't know. I know this didn't happen to you. This is such a specific scenario that I'm sure happens in a lot of sports. But don't do that.
Nope.
Because these two are like, what Kiarna's trying to do is support Jassi. And a lot of the women at the table are also taking the stance of, look, if we've learned anything, I think Ashley jumped in and was like, it's a lot of different scenarios for a lot of us here. We're okay with that. It's a little wacky, but it works. That's fine. As long as you're happy, you're happy. Mia, you don't have to be the center of attention all the time because, by the way, when you are the center of attention, it's usually not great. It's not for a good reason. Or you're trying so hard to do it that you're bringing people to a location that you don't own. You have no business being there. You're acting like when you walk in, you're supposed to walk into fanfare. You don't have to be the center of attention. And no, you didn't have the same situation go on at all. Did you hook up with an NFL player? Maybe, but this didn't happen.
Mia, you already have enough going on. You've got G living in the same building as you. You've got Ink. We don't really know when you started dating Ink. You said that you started dating him after high school and then you guys moved down to Charlotte together. That's a little crazy too, because you did marry G a little bit later. You had 2 kids somewhere along the lines. We don't know what the parentage is for those kids. Why are you adding this into the equation? It's insane. Because you just
needs to be the center of attention.
You, yeah. And people, I think that Mia believes that she is just living this free lifestyle that people aren't going to question whether things are true. But that tends to be all we do when it comes to Mia is wonder if it's true. And now we're denying that it's true, and we're just assuming that you're lying so that you can be the center of attention. So, kind of backfired, but it is kind of funny, and I did expect it.
Yeah, no, I 100% was not surprised by it.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't surprised that Jaqueline at the end of the dinner tries to make a joke and goes, and all of you ladies shower, you've been dirty all week, and like smiles, and it's crickets. I mean, it is
great.
Silence. The entire city of Charlotte was silent. They're like, even the cars stopped for a second and everyone turned and looked and went, boo. If you listen closely, you'll hear people in the street go, boo. That was a stupid ass joke. And you're not tight enough. You're the butt of the joke. You are the butt of the joke.
And she's not getting a rise out of anybody by saying that. Nobody cares what she has to say. You had a little bit of a beef with Karen in the first couple of episodes. Karen has now moved on. She has said her piece and she has eviscerated you, and you no longer are relevant. So everything that you say, you're not getting any sort of reaction out of people because they just don't want to deal with you. You claim that you're here, but you're not here. Nobody cares that you're there.
Nice. Well said. I mean, it's just the truth. Like, she is insignificant to this show other than to be the butt of the joke. You're the person that everyone kills in Fuck, Marry, Kill. That's who you are. Okay? Just be that person. Just shut up for a while. Don't shut up because, God, it's funny to watch, but it's just crazy town. It is nutso. But let's get to some questions because the end of this episode is just everybody waking up hungover as shit, and except Stacey, who's popping around like, I was on TV, so good morning, ladies. She's so great. I want her to be like that forever, and I don't think she's gonna. I think this show's gonna change her a little bit, and that's okay because, like you said, watching that arc's gonna be interesting. But she's up there for like one of my faves of the year, which I did not see coming.
Nope.
But let's get into some questions. This is good. Just very straightforward from our friend Max June. Thoughts on TJ?
Haven't seen enough to formulate a real opinion, but right now, something weird's going on there. Something interesting's happening behind those eyes, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a little sketchy. And we want to protect our girl, Stacey.
I want to believe that he's just this nice Christian boy and he just wants to wait till marriage and take care of his beautiful lady, and they will sail off into the sunset together and everything will be great and lovely and wonderful. I want to believe that. I have no reason to think otherwise. I do think this is a little bit strange of a relationship, but you know what? Maybe that's just because we're not used to it, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just so innocent and sweet that we're just not used to it. So we're looking for reasons to poke holes in it. Maybe there are no holes to be poked.
Maybe.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Looks like we get more TJ moving forward. So
yeah, that does appear to be that. So from Instagrammer, are there too many full-time housewives on this show? No, I think they're doing great.
No, but they did have that problem last year, and then they got rid of Robin, and everything seems to be working great.
Yep, I agree. But oh, interesting. From Jules Folsom, why do you think it sucks this year? I don't. I think it sucked years prior. I think that it's the farthest thing away from sucking right now. This show's great.
Yeah, maybe Jules is watching last season.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I looking at the wrong questions? No.
Nope.
Nope. Simply Oni, you asked this question for the OC recap. You're just trying to double up on questions. I'm not reading it.
Nope.
You already got your answer. Listen to the OC recap. Oh, it's not out yet. We already answered your question. If you're listening to this one too, you can hear your question in the OC recap.
All right,
it drops tomorrow.
Sorry, Simply Oni.
Sorry, Simply. I didn't mean to get frazzled. My bad. From I'm Just Being Frank. That's a great Instagram name if your name is Frank.
Yeah, I hope your name is Frank.
Yeah, I do too. I gotta click on your profile now because I need to know.
Is your name Frank?
Yep, it sure is. Great job, Frank. I love a good play on words. Nice job. How proud of Stacey are you? She really brought the mess in her own way.
Very
proud. Be prouder. Could not be prouder. Watching her come into her own and enter the game in such a Stacey kind of way where it's pretty innocent, but a lot of shade being thrown without intending to. I don't even think she was trying to get messy. I think she just said that.
Right now, it's Stacey and Greg. They're up there.
Yep, Stacey and Greg. But that's all. That's all I got. You got anything else? Because we got to gear up for. We got our community Zoom this evening, so we got to get ready for that. But as per usual, great app, great season,
app. Great fun,
really enjoying
it with the friends.
Welcome back, Potomac. So happy.
Yeah. Whoa. Let's pump the brakes on that for now.
Shut up.
6 episodes in.
Shut up.
No, I don't
face.
want you to be let down, pal.
I don't need you to protect my feelings. Okay?
Yeah,
go drink some tequila the way that you do, dickhead.
Gulp.
To the sound effects. Rob Bros are out of here.
Later.